Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing the construction of DC machines. The different parts of the DC machine will be as stator. We have got field yoke, pole and pole shoe and the field winding. Then on the rotor we have got armature core, armature winding, commutator and brush holder, and then we'll discuss the different types of the DC machine. Just an overview of the DC machines. A DC machine is an electromechanical energy alteration device and are based on Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction and Fleming's rules. That is Fleming's left-hand rule and the Fleming's right-hand rule. The DC machine can be classified into two types, namely DC motors and DC generators. The main function of DC generator is to convert mechanical energy to electrical energy, whereas a DC motor converts electrical energy to mechanical energy. The input should be the DC power supply. Most DC machines are similar to AC machines, that is, they have AC voltages and current within them. The output of the DC machine is DC output because they convert AC voltage to the DC voltage. And the conversion of this mechanism is done through the commutator. Thus, these machines are also known as commutating machines. DC generators are not as common as they used to be. Automobiles were designed with DC dynamos for charging their batteries. The applications of the DC machine in the present situation is limited to trains, mills, mines, underground subway cars, as well as trolleys. It is still applicable where good speed regulation and ample range of speeds are necessary, like in electric traction systems. Now the DC machine construction. A DC generator can be used as a DC motor without any construction changes, and vice versa is also possible. Thus, a DC generator or a DC motor can be broadly termed as a DC machine. And a DC machine electrically has got two parts, that is, one is the excitation winding or the field winding, which produces the working flux, and the second one is the armature winding, in which the working EMF is being produced. Or for a generator, the torque will be produced in the armature. Now, stator of the DC machine normally consists of the yoke, that is the frame of the DC machine, that is mostly made up of the ferromagnetic or the cast iron material. The salient field poles are bolted to the inner periphery of the yoke. Like you can see in the picture, we have got the projected poles, which is known as the salient pole. Then the bearings, brush and brush holders and end covers, etc. are being fixed to the frame of the given stator. The rotor of the DC machine consists of armature core. It is made up of the ferromagnetic material with slots, and it's laminated also. The armature windings are coils of copper with different electrical arrangements, that is series connection or parallel connection. And commutator is a mechanical rectifier. You can see on the rotor's picture that we have got the armature core on which the slots are being made, where the windings are being inserted, and those windings are being connected on the commutator segments, and these commutator segments are mounted on the shaft itself, and we have got the bearings at the two ends on the rotor. Now we'll come to the individual parts and try to understand the function of each and every part. So the first is on the stator we have got the yoke. So the yoke acts as the outer cover of the DC motor, and it is known as a frame. The yoke is an iron body made up of low reluctance magnetic material such as cast iron, silicon steel or rolled steel, etc. The yoke serves two purposes. Firstly, it provides mechanical protection to the outer parts of the machine. Secondly, it provides low reluctance path for the magnetic flux. And that is the frame of the DC machine. And the next part comes as the pole and the pole shoe. Now, the pole and the pole shoe are fixed on the yoke by bolts, that is on the frame it is fixed. These are made up of thin cast steel or wrought iron laminations. The bolts are fixed which are riveted together, because laminations has to be put together, hence the riveting is done. Poles produce the magnetic flux when the field winding is excited. Normally in the small motors we have got permanent magnets, but for the larger machines we have got the electromagnets, hence we need the magnetic material and on which the windings will be wound. The reduced cross section of the pole core requires less copper for the field winding. As you can see, the pole has having a projected portion, and the one which is attached to the frame is a thinner one. So that is meant to house the field windings, and the frame gives the pole shoe, basically we call it, and that gives an enlarged area for the flux to pass uniformly through the air gap. The alternate poles are produced when concentrated field winding is excited with the direct current. So this pole shoe is an extended portion of the pole, and it's normally in an arc shape so that the air gap is uniform and the flux is passing with minimum reluctance to the armature. Then comes the field windings. The windings are wound on the pole core, as known as the field windings or the exciting coils. Whenever current is supplied through the field winding, then it electromagnetics the poles, which generates the required flux. The material used for field windings is normally copper, because aluminum requires a larger space, and due to the space constraint or make a compact machine, normally the windings of the machines are made up of copper. Then we have got two types of field windings. That is, one is the shunt field winding, other one is the series field winding, and that depends on the connection with electrical connection with the armature. The shunt field windings are connected in parallel with the armature. The coils are made up of thin copper wire with large number of turns and has high resistance to limit the current, because the supply will be the actual supply voltage to the DC machine. The series field windings are connected in series with the armature. The coils are made up of thick copper wire with few number of turns and therefore has less resistance to carry the armature current and limit the voltage drop. Because in series it has to carry the full load current, and therefore the conductors will be thicker as compared to the shunt field windings. And because the cross sectional area is more, thick conductor means cross sectional area is more, hence the resistance will be lesser. Then comes the rotor part. That is, the first part is the armature core. It is cylindrical drum and keyed to the rotating shaft, because the armature has to be placed properly on the shaft. So because it has to face the centrifugal force, so it has to be tightly packed. A large number of slots are made all over its periphery, which accommodates the armature winding. Low reluctance, high permeability materials such as cast iron and cast steel are used for the armature core. It provides the low reluctance part towards the flux generated with the field winding, and the laminations is used to decrease the eddy current loss, because in the armature we have got the AC voltages, and we know that the eddy current is a proportional to square of the frequency, and therefore the eddy current losses will be more. Hence, to reduce that, we use the laminations for making of the armature core. And we can see a thin laminations in the figure, which shows the teeth, the holes, and you can see the key arrangement in the center, which will be used for mounting on the shaft. These air holes are meant for the circulation of the air for the cooling of the armature. Then comes the armature winding. The armature winding plays a very important role in the construction of the DC machine, because the conversion of the power takes place in the armature winding. The materials used for the winding are conducting material like copper. The armature conductors are insulated from each other and also from the armature core. That is, when it is placed in the armature slots, then some insulating material will be provided to have an insulation between the armature core and the armature windings. And even the windings are, that is, the copper wires are being insulated from each other with the help of the varnish, because the copper wires what we use is a enameled copper wire, and it's not a bare copper wire. There are two types of armature windings, lap winding and the wave winding. The lap winding armatures are used in machines designed for low voltage and high current. Armatures are constructed with large wire because of high current. For example, it is used in the starter motor for almost all automobiles. The windings of a lap wound armature are connected in parallel. This permits the current capacity of each winding to be added and provides a high operating current. In lap winding armature, the number of parallel paths is equal to the number of the poles on the armature. That is, now you can see the electrical connection of the lap winded armatures. That is, you will have some parallel paths, and when there is a parallel path, the voltages will be the same across the windings, while the current carrying capacity will be depending on the total number of parallel paths. So the current carrying capacity increases, and therefore this lap wound armature DC machines are used for low voltage and high current applications. Now if you see the windings on the bottom, it is the not the circular section of the commutator, but it is an open section. And if you see the wires from one pole to the other pole, it is going forward just one slot each, and therefore it's look like it is overlapping each other. Hence the name has been given as lap winding. The next is your wave wound armatures. That is, these are used for machines designed for high voltage and low current. Their windings are connected in series. When the windings are connected in series, the voltage of each winding gets added, but the current capacity remains the same. Therefore, they are used for the high voltage and low current applications because series winding. So the voltages will be added, which is connected in series. And the most important part is, that is, the total number of parallel path is equal to 2 for the wave wound armature. Now, if you see the figure over here in blue color, the wire which is made to have a coil is flowing from north pole to south pole, then the next north pole, then the next south pole, and it will continue. So it looks like a wave shape, and hence the name has been given as the wave winding. While on the other side, right side, we can see the electrical connection of the wave windings, where we have got the series coils and they are connected in parallel. So that is the basic structure of the wave winding. Then we have got the most important part of the DC machine, that is the commutator. The physical connection to the armature winding is made through a commutator brush arrangement. The function of a commutator is a DC generator and is used to collect the current generated in the armature conductors. Whereas in case of a DC motor, the commutator helps in providing current to the armature conductors. The commutator consists of a set of copper segments which are insulated from each other. The number of segments will be equal to the number of armature coils. Each segment is connected to an armature coil and the commutator is keyed to the shaft. The segments in the commutator are protected from each other with the thin mica layer, that it is insulated from each other with the help of the mica sheets. If they are not insulated properly, that will create a short circuit between the commutator segments. Now over here we can see the commutator segment with a hook. Normally for a smaller ratings, the commutator segments are being provided with the hook so that the winding wires can be just brought as a loop and it can be in their position. But for the higher rating motors, normally the soldering and the brazing has to be done to place the armature coil end connections properly on the commutator segments. The brushes and the brush holders. The brushes are usually made up of carbon or graphite and is rectangular in shape. They rest on commutator segments and slide on the segments when the commutator rotates, keeping the physical contact to collect and or supply the current. Now these carbon brushes has to be properly placed on the commutator segments such that it's neither too tight on it, that is it's pressing too much. If it is pressing too much, this means there will be carbon deposition on the commutator segments, and if it's not, the pressure is not proper, there is a loose connection. Due to that, there will be a sparking in between the brush and the commutator segments. So both deposits copper on the commutator segments, and that increases the drop in the on the commutator segments. Hence, the proper cleaning of the commutator and brush arrangement should be there. But the most important part is the pressure of the brush on the commutator to be of uniform pressure, and but plus it should be proper in the case that it should not be more, it should not be less. For that, we have got the brush holders, and you can see the brush holder arrangement with a spring. So that spring ensures that the pressure on the carbon brush is proper, it's neither more nor less. So brush holders provide stable support in the proper position to the contact surface by application of the contact force with the help of the springs, so that the brush can perform properly. Then here we can see a three-dimensional figure of a motor where we have shown the stator and the rotor separately. You can see the different parts of the stator as the frame, then the pole shoe and the face and the field windings. While on the armature side, you can see the armature windings, armature core, the commutator, brush, the bearing and the shaft. The bearing should be always proper so that it gives you an uniform rotation of the given rotor, so that the smooth rotation is ensured for the armature. Now here is the figure which you can use it for the drawing or for labeling the parts of the DC machine, where we have just got a two-dimensional figure, and it is easier to show the different parts of the DC machine with the help of a simple drawing. So in this simple drawing, you can see the frame, and in that we have placed the pole and the pole face, and on the pole we have shown the windings, while in the center you have got the shaft, after that the commutator segments, then you have got the rotor, and on the rotor you have shown the rotor conductors with the help of the small circles, that is indicating the wires. Then this is just a cut section of the DC machine, where you can see how it is being placed inside the machine and how does it look like. Then we'll try to analyze the different types of the DC machine, because the DC machines are classified as how the field is being connected to the armature for a given machine. If there is no physical connection between the field winding and the armature winding, then it's known as a separately excited machine. And if electrical connection exists between the field winding and the armature winding, then it's known as the self-excited DC machine. In separately excited, the field coils are strengthened from an autonomous exterior DC source, that is the field source will be separate from the machine armature, and if it is a generator, it will produce voltage. If it is a motor, the supply will be different to the armature and the field. Now, the other one where the field winding and armature windings are electrically connected, that is known as the self-excited DC machine. In self-excited type, the field coils are strengthened from the generated current with the generator. The generation of the electromotive force will occur because of its outstanding magnetism within field poles. The produced electromotive force will cause a fraction of current to supply in field coils, therefore, which will increase the field flux as well as the electromotive force generation. If the field winding is connected in parallel with the armature, it's known as the shunt machine. If the field winding is connected in series with the armature winding, it's known as the series machine. And if you have got the series as well as the shunt winding, both the windings present in the machine, it's known as a compound machine. Then this is the way we normally represent the DC machine, that is the generator and the motor. So we can see over here, the field has got a separate DC supply, while the armature has got a separate supply, and these are not electrically connected. Hence, it is known as the DC, separately excited DC machine. And the top one is the generator, where you can see inside the G is written. That means it is a generator. And if it is M, that means it is a motor. The motor will draw the supply from the given side. Now you have got the DC shunt machine. DC shunt machine means the field will be connected in parallel to the armature. This armature, what notation you see is basically representing the armature core, and on which you have got mounted the brushes. So the square section represents the brushes and the inside section is the armature, which looks circular from the end side. And the field is being connected with the rheostat just to vary the field current, because it's connected with the same supply, so we can't change the supply. Hence, a series rheostat is connected so that we can have the variation in the field current. So this is the field is connected in parallel to the armature, hence it is known as the DC shunt machine. When the field is connected in series to the armature, then it will be known as a DC series machine. And DC series machine, you can see the armature and the field are connected in series to the supply. If it is a generator, it will give you the output. If it is a motor, it will take the supply. Now, DC compound generator or the motor. DC compound generator motor means it is a combination of series and shunt winding. Now, the series and shunt winding, it can be connected with the shunt winding can be connected only in parallel to the armature, or the field winding can be connected in parallel to the armature plus the series winding. So depending on that, you can have different types of the DC compound machine. Now today we have analyzed the construction of the DC machine at different parts, which is on the stator, the field yoke, the pole and the pole shoe, and the field windings. Then we have analyzed the rotor. On the rotor side, we have got the armature core, armature winding, and the commutator. Then the brush and the brush holders are equally important, because normally due to this maintenance of the brush and the commutator arrangement, the DC machines require more maintenance, and hence it's not the manufacturing companies, they don't prefer the DC machines, because a proper shutdown has to be done for the maintenance purpose. And plus the maintenance cost is also higher in case of the DC machines. Then we have analyzed the different types of the DC machine, which mainly depends on the electrical connection between the field winding and the armature winding. So we have tried to understand the basic construction of the DC machine, the mechanical parts, the electrical parts, and how they are connected. So thank you.